Striking in the clinch. What options do we have? How can we utilize the strikes to better position ourselves? Let's talk about it. When you're fighting somebody in general, whether it's sport or self-defense, I never want to be taking somebody head on like this. They have their full mobility, they have full power, they have full access to all their limbs, and especially when it comes to grappling, they're at their full strength when we're dealing with them head on. So in general, as a rule of thumb, I want to start working off on angles. Even striking, if I can land a couple shots and I can start working off at an angle, this allows me into a better position where I can land some effective strikes, but it also makes it very difficult for this person to counter or even try to get any sort of upper hand. When it comes to just fighting in the clinch or grappling in general, right? Here we're pretty much equal. It's going to 100% just kind of depend on our size and strength at this point. But even if I was a smaller person, if I'm able to work off at an angle, now my potentially even smaller size is going to feel a lot stronger because I'm at a better position. I'm at a point where I can now really start kind of controlling this person, and I can start kind of working all these little bit of angles. Eventually, if I can work towards the back, that's obviously like the safest zone that you can work in. And we're talking about fighting in the clinch, which a lot of times is inevitable, sport and self-defense. Like at some point, a lot of people are going to end up in some form of clinch fighting here, right? How do we strike from this position? And more importantly, how do we utilize those strikes to better position ourselves? Obviously, you can break out of the clinch from here, but the problem that people have is they get into the clinch and then they just think that I can just let go and start kind of working strikes, which can work, but you put yourself at a lot of risk for that. So I want to kind of touch upon a couple ways that when we are in a good clinch tied up position, how can I utilize strikes from here that will allow me to safely disengage or safely proceed forward to where I can start securing some form of body lock and we can look to take the person down to the ground. Now in general, you tend to get, when we start working from the center and we work off at an angle, you're usually going to secure some form of either an overhook or an underhook. I'm not going to go over the specifics of that for this video, but let's just talk about options from here, right? If we're starting with an underhook position, ideally I'm going to want this arm up on the shoulder. I want to make sure that I have good head pressure, that I'm controlling this head space, and then usually I want to control the bicep or the wrist of the opposite arm. This is a good position for me to be in if I'm at a good angle here, because now Cash not only has to worry about dealing with this grip, but he also has to deal with his head pressure, and if he really wants to do anything, he has to somehow find his way to square back up to me in order to really get any good strikes from there. So when I'm in this position, we have a couple options. Now the strikes I'm going to show you, let's kind of just focus on our hands for now, and then we'll touch upon feet at the end. But in general, when I'm throwing these hand strikes, I'm not looking to knock this person out per se, but I'm going to start chipping away at them a little bit. I'm going to start applying some damage that will force them to start kind of covering up. And when they start to cover up, go ahead, right? He starts covering up because he doesn't like it. Then I can safely disengage and add in more strikes. Or when they cover up, I use that as an opportunity to get in a little bit closer because again, they're not focused on my next move. They're just focused on trying not to get hit. So the first option that we have from this underhook position is when I am grabbing the wrist, we call it a little bop. I'm going to take the back of my knuckles. Yes, I'm going to wear gloves so I don't beat Cash to shit here. But if I was just using my bare knuckles, I'm literally just going to take my knuckles, bop them right in the face, and I'm coming right back down in the hand. Now, I'm not looking to make this like an uppercut motion because I want this to just be quick and fast, so it's going to be a bop, and I come right back down. Now, the detail with this is after I bop him, there's a good chance that arm's going to be gone, right? He's going to bring his hand to protect himself. He's going to start trying to fight my hand back, whatever the case is. So if I come up and I go straight down, I'm going to usually miss. So what I want you to focus on is after you make this connection, shoot the hand across to the shoulder and just start sliding the arm down. If I stop at the bicep, that's fine. If I get all the way back down to the wrist, just fine as well. And then again, we're moving around, we're maintaining this position. So if I feel like I'm starting to lose this, or if he's really getting good position on me, bop him, and we come right back into that spot. The second option that we have is a cross. Now this is going to kind of be like an adjusted cross because I don't just want to cock my arm back, punch him, cock my arm back, and we go back here. Because again, too much time, too much space, and I risk losing the ultimate control of the situation. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to use this grip to pull him a little bit, not a drastic pull across my body. Just a little pull so that I can pull this arm back at the same time. And now as he starts working back, I'm going to punch, but again, I'm going to punch through him so that I can get control of the shoulder again. And once again, we slide right back down into control. So now you've got the bop, pull, cross, and we come right back down into, again, either bicep tie or wrist control. Because we're in this underhook position and I'm going to have this arm up here, I can also now kind of add like this overhand cross to the side of the face as well. Again, it's not going to be devastating by any means, but especially if my head's here, if I remove that head space for a brief moment, I know he's probably going to start turning his head into me because he now wants that space. So the moment I release that head pressure, this top hand that's, again, controlling this underhook is just going to come right over the top, throw across to the face, and then once again, I still need to control the position. I'm going to come right back to that shoulder control. So I'm going to bop, come right back, and we get that good position. Again, not going to do a ton of damage, but it's going to start chipping away at them. Now the last one that we have is kind of a variation of a collar tie. It's going to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm going to use essentially like a ridge hand. So I want to turn my fist over as I start doing this, but I'm looking to reach all the way across his head and just essentially like smack the far side of his head, maybe like the ear jaw line a little bit. So when we're here, I have to kind of turn my hips out a little bit just to kind of get that angle. I'm going to throw the arm over the top, Again, clock them on the side of the face, and then once again, we slide right back down to this underhook position. So now you have 4 strikes from here. I've got a bop, I got step, I got the cross, I've got the overhand cross, kind of like this reverse ridge hand collar tie, and then right back here. And again, you can mix and match these at any point. I can bop him to get his head to turn into me, and then cross him right back if I want to, so you can play around with these, but it's a good way, again, when we're in this position, that I can kind of maintain these control points while still applying damage of some sort. So now let's talk about if we got the overhook position. Now the first 2 options that we have are gonna be the exact same, because once again, I have this far wrist control. So I can either bop him, or I'm gonna give a little bit of a pull, step through, cross him across the face, and we go from there. The other option that I have is gonna be attacking the back. Now I'm not looking to attack like the full center of the back. What I wanna actually do is target the floating ribs or the kidneys on the far side, again, depending on which side you're at. So when I'm in this overhook position, I'm gonna bring this arm back. I'm not gonna sink this punch like into the ribs. I'm not gonna sit here and just kind of wail on the ribs. You can, but then I'm most likely, if I start landing a couple of these shots, like he's gonna pull an arm, and I'm gonna lose the position in the hole. Again, at the end of the day, I have to maintain this position. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna pull this arm through, go to hit the ribs, but as I hit him, I'm actually going to graze and come right back into this overhook position. So it's gonna be from an overhook, I release, make this contact, slide through, chomp right back down on the elbow, and once again, we go right back into our position. Same thing's gonna happen if I'm hitting this far side. I'm gonna bring this arm back, again, kind of turn your wrist over a little bit so that I can reach the far side, nail those kidneys, and then again, slide right back. I'm not pulling this arm back, I'm striking, sliding it along the side of the back, chomping right back down with the overhook, and we get right back into this position. The last one that we have is a bit of an uppercut. Now for this one, I need to make sure that my arm is tight up by the armpit, and I also want to make sure that I start opening my body a little bit so that I can kind of get this angle. So from here, again, especially because I know where his face is going to be, I'm literally just going to turn, just pop this straight up, right? And then once again, you can start mix and matching all these. I can bop him to get his head to turn, follow straight up with an uppercut. I can sit here and chomp on his back and then come straight up with an uppercut here as well. I can step and cross, chip at the rib, bop him again. You can just start slowly chipping away at these. Now, where does this kind of come in handy, right? We talked about 2 things that I'm gonna do. I'm either gonna use this to disengage or I'm gonna use this to progress forward. So no matter what position I get into, and you need to practice both. You never know if you're gonna get an overhook or an underhook. Whatever you get, you have to deal with it. He's gonna be fighting this, right? I don't wanna lose this position. So if I have to start kind of working these strikes in here a little bit, right? The moment he starts kind of covering up like this, I have the option of either I'm gonna disengage, and now I just created all that space, or as I start kind of working all these strikes, I can progress in, and now I can secure a better position, whether I get like the split seatbelt, whether I get a bilock, whatever the case is. The moment he starts really covering up and shielding, because again, they're not gonna like it, I'm gonna take that opportunity to advance and move forward. Now, I said we would talk about the legs. We don't need to go into too much detail with this. You always are gonna have the opportunity to like throw some knees and stuff in here. The reason I'm not talking about this in great detail is because I never lose this position, right? I'm always just throwing the knees. The trickier part is when I start letting go of grips to start landing certain strikes. And that's a little bit more important to understand, that I can't just throw these strikes and expect hands to be there. I have to learn how to adjust and react accordingly so that, again, at the end of the day, I maintain these 3 points of contact the entire time. But yeah, any opportunity, stop on the feet, throw these knees, work the groin. If I was posted on the head, I could literally just like kick him in the face if I want to. So you always have options to use those legs, but more importantly, when you're in the clinch, learn how to use strikes to chip away at them, apply a little bit of damage, and then as they start kind of blocking and shielding up, we progress from there, or we use that as an opportunity to get out. Stay safe.